Hey everyone, it's Mary with Happy Pine Soap. You're probably thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, it's Mary. I've never seen her before. We get to see her on video. Yes, that's correct, because today is a momentous occasion. Today, I get to show you the making of the ugliest soap ever. I know, it's the video you've been waiting for your entire lives, and it's here. And I'm so excited to share it with you. Okay, not really. Actually, I thought for a bit of time after the disaster that unfolded today that I may not post this video at all. But upon further reflection, I realized soaping disasters happen to all of us, whether we're beginners or even very experienced soapers. And it's probably a good thing just to normalize it and help you guys out so that you can either avoid a soaping disaster or not panic if one happens to come along while you're soaping. So yeah, this recipe, by the way, is the same recipe that I used for my Nautilus Swirl. Gorgeous, as you can see. It is actually a very fluid recipe that I've perfected and adore. So needless to say, when this ugly soap disaster occurred, I was shocked. And not happy. Here's my Taiwan Swirl. And here is the column pour. So all of these were made with this exact same recipe I'm going to show you today. So I know the recipe is one that works, and I know that it's very successful. So what happened? That's what we're going to talk about today. I have some theories, and I hope these theories will help you avoid the soaping disaster that unfolded for me. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but you know, if I can help you avoid it, that's what I'm going to try to do. So yeah, ugliest soap ever. Smells good. I'll give it credit, it smells good, but oh my Lord. Yeah, same recipe. It was a disaster. Stick with me. I hope you find something useful. So before I start any project, what I like to do is get color inspiration from all of my micas. You can see them here. They're one of my favorite places in my house because I get to see the colors all the time, and I love color. My husband helped me make this, by the way. It's essentially a steel panel, and then he framed it with some wood, and all of my micas have magnets on them, basically on the lids. So they're all magnetized, and it keeps them nice and neat and easy to pick from before I start my projects. So my original intention was to make a beautiful kiss pour design, and I was going with an autumn theme with lots of blues and oranges in different hues. I usually mix my micas with a lightweight oil. Sweet almond oil is my favorite lightweight oil of choice. And I use a mini mixer typically to mix my micas in with the oil. For this recipe, I was using 1/2 teaspoon mica per 1/2 tablespoon lightweight oil. This here is the culprit of the horrible soaping disaster, and I'll tell you how I figured that out here in just a minute. But here I was trying to show you the fragrance and how I mix it with kaolin clay beforehand. But for now, I'll just show you some of my oils and where I get them from. I get my coconut oil from Costco. It's always really well priced there. This ivory shea is from a local Arizona soap supply store. It's not sold online. Arizona is really hot in the summer, and so I don't believe they ship this anyways because it will ruin the oils in the mail, unfortunately. And cocoa butter, as probably many of you know, is incredibly expensive right now. I think it's about $150 or $170 for this exact 5-pound package here. I was, again, lucky enough to get this at my local soaping store for about $50. It's not sold at that price anymore. Apparently, the cocoa butter crops have not been doing well the last few years, unfortunately. This soaper's choice is lard and works really well in my soap recipes. I also got it from my Arizona soap store. And this here is all of my hard oils that I have measured out and ready to melt. I love to use avocado oil and high oleic sunflower oil and olive oil, and all three of these you can get at Costco as well. And last but not least, castor oil, which I buy in bulk from Brambleberry. I like to weigh out my soft oils separately and add them to the melted hard oils, and that way it brings the temperature of both combined oils down a lot faster. You know, normally my hard oils might be around 150, and of course the soft oils are at room temp. So when you combine them, they quickly become like around 120 degrees, maybe a little bit more sometimes. And that way I don't have to wait too long for the oils to come down to a more room temperature level before beginning the soaping process. Today I had started out at about 110 degrees for the oils and about 100 degrees for the lye, which I thought was going to be fine, but it was not, which I'll get to in a moment. This lye did have some lye lint, which is the floating specks that you see in it. It's completely harmless. It's just an interaction between the air and the lye. And so you can put it through a strainer, which you see me doing here, if you don't like the look of it. So I originally set out to only stick blend this for about 20 seconds, which is what I normally do with this recipe. But this time, what was interesting is it wasn't really coming together as quickly as it had in the past. It could be maybe because the temperature was a bit warmer than I typically soap with this recipe in the past, about 10 to 15 degrees above where I normally do. But either way, I kept stick blending it, which I think contributed to it seizing. I think I stick blended it for about a minute total in several, 10 to 20 second bursts. Now, that really shouldn't have been a problem because the soap recipe itself is one of my most fluid ones where, quite frankly, even at a 50% lye solution, which is high as you can go, it still has remained super fluid. So something else was definitely contributing. So this is the sucker that ruined the soap. It is Autumn Fig Harvest from Brambleberry. It smells amazing, I'll give it that. I love the actual fragrance itself, but it was not supposed to seize like this. On the website, I always check the website or the manufacturer's recommendation for each fragrance, not only for the correct amount, but also to see notes on whether it discolors or see notes on whether it accelerates it or causes ricing. And this one was not supposed to. It was supposed to behave well in cold process soap, but it did not. It did not. And I checked to see if other people had similar issues, and sure enough, about 4 separate people mentioned that this fragrance accelerated their batter. And in fact, they found that it accelerated the batter based on temperature and how much you stick blend. And again, this recipe had a higher temp and a bit more stick blending, and combined with this awful fragrance, it went to hell in a handbasket and very, very fast. So I did not even get a chance to video any of the hot mess because, quite frankly, it accelerated and seized up that rapidly. It was like soap on a stick within 2 minutes. And so I just had to glomp it in my soap mold as fast as possible. I ended up having to mash it down. It was like stiff mashed potatoes within probably 2 minutes tops. I couldn't get the colors in. It was just so just awful and ugly, and I was sweating through my eyeballs. My goggles were all fogged up. I mean, the soap batter was so hot from the massive rise in temperature that it was burning through my gloves even. You can see the air pocket there. It was just awful. But I will say I was able to get it in the soap mold. I was able to cut it. I've already used it the next day. It lathers amazingly and it feels great on the skin, and it's just smells delightful. So I'll use it as a personal bar, but I sure as heck am not going to sell it because it's ugly. It's terribly, terribly ugly. So yeah, I hope you found my video helpful. If any of you have had similar disasters, feel free to drop a comment. What can you do? What can you do? Soaping is always full of surprises. So if you made it this far in my video, I so appreciate you watching. I really hope it was helpful. It was a disaster, but you know what? Sometimes you just can't help it, right? You just got to make the best of it. We all learn from our mistakes, right? especially the soaping ones. It really is how we learn. So yeah, I hope you found it helpful, and thank you again for supporting my channel. Feel free to subscribe. I try to put out weekly soap tutorials, and I'll see you all in the next soap video. Take care, everyone.